Hey, welcome everyone to the Tuesday call. I'm Jeff St Laurent. Always excited to do these calls and to hear some familiar voices, some people that I interact with regularly on the Facebook, my private Facebook group, and email as well, some clients. And always a great opportunity to get our message out there. I'm a big advocate of teaching us, as coaches, whatever your message is and whoever you're going after, that if you want to get paid and you want to help people and get clients, the number one way is to speak. And it's live speaking engagements, it's in person, it's on the phone like this. You've got to be in front of people sharing your message. And that's the more people you do that with on a regular basis, the more clients you're going to get. And it's not just going to organically happen, right? There's skills involved, from once we get the interest in the leads with the conversion in terms of how we actually create new clients. But you're not going to have the opportunity to create new business if you're not speaking in front of people. And it's one of the reasons why I love doing this call is mostly because I get to hear people's voices. We get to interact with each other live the best we can, at least in the virtual space. Share some great information, and my hope is that it helps you move forward and can implement something from this. And so just a couple things. I always record these calls. I post them on my website, sellingcoaching.com. Under the university. If you haven't checked that out, there's a lot of great, it's all video based. We got 23, 24 of these recorded calls to date, and a lot of other short videos, which are just really great education. I really love to give some great content. So don't just find stuff to listen to and watch. Find the stuff that's applicable to you in your business, where you're at, the skill sets and things that you need to learn. I always recommend people there. Focus your time on what you need to learn. So check that out. For those of you that aren't in my private Facebook group, again, if you go to my website, sellingcoaching.com, right at the top, you'll see, check out my private Facebook group. It will bring you right over there. We got about just over 450 coaches right now who are looking to, we're either full-time or transitioning to full-time, and we're doing a lot of cool things in that group, and it's a great way to interact and also for me to get to know you a little bit better. That's why I love that group in particular. So with that being said, today, I was to say tonight, but today I want to talk about taking payment. And I was talking to Joe Negazio before this, and he was saying, instead of taking payment, let's use the word receive. And I love that word. It's receiving payment. And what we want to do is when we think about payment, what I want to talk about here, there's lots of topics around what this could mean. And what I want to talk about today is specifically how to take a payment in what form, in form of a credit card, but how to take it so that you maximize your clients who actually follow through with you from your complimentary session. Because so many coaches will book complimentary sessions and not take the time to qualify people. And I've done quite a few calls on the qualification process before you even invite someone to a complimentary session. But then we give someone a complimentary session, and people call it different names, discovery calls, etc. And you take someone through this process, and now you're at the end of the call. And this is the part where for a lot of people, especially if you're newer and if you never work on it, however long you've been in the business, this is where a lot of people, they get really nervous when it comes time to ask for the money and ask for the business. And I want to give you some strategies for that, but I also want to give you a strategy in terms of how you actually will process that payment at the end of the call. And this is going to be vital for your conversion success, meaning the people that actually follow through with working with you. Because I will always teach you this, and my mentor, Jeffrey Combs, who I worked with many years ago when I started off with my coaching business, I learned is that you never have a client until the money is in your bank account. And so for all the terminology that we use and everything like that, think about it like this. Like at the end of the day, we want to help people. You're not going to help anybody unless they hire you. They have not hired you until they have committed and made a financial commitment, meaning you have processed their credit card, and the money is in your account. You can physically transfer the funds, use it to pay for something, to buy something, to do something. That's when you have a client. And I want to stress that, and mainly because as coaches, this is a very emotion-based business, meaning, we are very passionate about what we do, and we're passionate about helping people. And when someone says like yes, even to a complimentary session, we get excited about it. And that's why I really teach the qualification process and really making sure you have a qualified person coming to this call who is considering hiring you, not just wanting to talk to you, for an hour and whatever you're going to do with them. They're serious about potentially working with you. But then also, at the end of the call, if people are like, yeah, yes, I want to do that, and they don't commit to it, you get excited and you get invested in this person. And then you book the next call, and then you show up in the next call, and the person never shows up, and they join the witness protection program, and they fall off the face of the earth. And it's an emotional roller coaster, and it's hard on us as coaches. And that's the main reason why I want to talk to you about this information today, is because I don't want you believing someone, right? Of course, we want to trust people, but I don't want you just believing the yes. Because what's the easiest way to get rid of a salesperson? It's simply to tell them what they want to hear. And what does a salesperson want to hear? Yes, right? We all want to hear yes. As soon as you hear yes, you're just like, great, I got a client. This is so exciting. But you don't have a client unless you've processed their information. And that's what I want to stress to you today. So at the end of the call, when someone says yes, that just could be their easy way of saying no, because people are afraid to say no. They don't want to say no. And that's where they come up with objections. That's where they kind of just tell you what they want to hear. They kind of whittle their way and just find the easiest, the path of least resistance to get off the phone, and just leaving you wherever they want to leave you. And so now we want to get to the point where we want to understand this process a little bit more. So let's dive into this, and then my hope is that we get some good time after the call to may ask a few more questions to help clarify a few things for you. So if you have any of that stuff, jot it down so we can ask that at the end of the call. So number one, let's look at this. Let's talk like logistics, meaning at the end of the call, we want to understand the buying, where people buy. And you've heard this most likely before, is that people buy emotionally. There's a very small percentage of the population that buys more logically. It's a very, very small percent. When you're buying something, take this for the most part, you're going to buy it because there's an emotional need. You might, well, my car's broken and I need to fix it. Well, it's really not an emotional buy if you look at it too closely. But at the end of the day, you need to get around, and it might not be a choice of yours, but you've got to do it. But when it comes to coaching is an emotional buy, right? They're in a place where you've just given them an experience. And that's why it's vital for us to have a discovery call or a complimentary session, because this is their opportunity to get a feel for what coaching is like. We're going to coach them. And ideally, by the end of that call, they're like, oh my God, they've had some breakthroughs. They feel connected. They feel like things are clearer. They feel like they've got a plan. They feel like a door of hope has opened. They feel relaxed. The pressure's taken off of them. And a lot of you who are coaches who have had coaching before, hopefully you've experienced this yourself. And that's why you're in love with coaching and you want to do this with other people. But this is at the end of the call. This is where people are, and they feel fantastic. Ideally, right, if we've done a good job. So at this point, this is where the sale happens, meaning they want to buy this. They're buying off of this emotion. They're buying off of this high. That's when we've got to allow this to happen, and we want to move this forward. Because remember, if they go away from this, as soon as they hang up the phone, what's going to happen? They're going back into their world, which most likely an aspect of it or several aspects of it are, let's just say, less than they want it to be. And they're frustrating or they're challenged with it. So they're going back into their world of overwhelm. And as soon as they hang up the phone, they flip their phone on and they check their email, or they get a text from somebody, or whatever, and all of a sudden they're right back in that overwhelm. It can happen very, very quickly. So it's very important that when they're in this space and they've had this great experience, we want to take this to transitionists to get them to commit. This isn't forcing anybody. This isn't hardcore selling. This isn't, making people do uncomfortable and pressuring them into something that they, don't want to buy. What this is if you've gotten them this far in the process, this is someone who you've spoken with, somehow they found out about you, or they saw you at an event or something. They've agreed to talk to you, and you've invested some good time and energy into them, and you've taken them through this process, and they've benefited from it. And so at this point, it's our job to find out, hey, listen, at this point, can you see yourself hiring me as your coach? Can you see how we are going to work together to achieve what you said you set out to achieve? These are the types of questions you want to be asking. And I'm going to say a few more of those just so you get that, because especially before you go into pricing and before you say, well, here's the investment and here's what it entails, you want to make sure that they're in that spot where yes, I want to do this. Or, yes, I want to find out more information so we can make this happen. So asking things specifically, like I said, at this point, are you ready to hire me as your coach? At this point, do you see value in working with me and moving forward? At this point, do you want to hear more information about how we can work together and schedule our first session? Right? Those are a bunch of different ways of saying that. And based on what your biggest thing is after you say that, is you want to hear their response. You want to hear their response, and ideally you're getting like, absolutely, yes, absolutely, I definitely want to do this. Any hesitations or pauses or uncertainty or anything, breaths, things like that, you just want to clarify and make sure that they're in that spot and they're ready to go. Okay, great. So then you go over your pricing structure, and you get to the point where you let them know, like, hey, here's what it costs. It's 9 sessions. It's $1,800. I like to say this. I can take a credit or a debit card. I prefer to take that up front. However, if for whatever reason you feel like you can't, make that an all-in-one payment today, I'd be happy to talk to you about splitting that up into whatever type of payments work for you, because I never want money to come in the way of what we know we can do together as a team. And then I will say, what works best for you? Or could you make the payment in full? And if prior to that, if we've talked about finances, or they've at some point in the qualification process and or the complimentary session, finances has shown, they've brought it up as a challenge in their world, or something that they're struggling with, or that's tight. Very often what I will say is, I know, like I said, I prefer to take that up front based on some of the financial things we've spoken about. Is it fair to say that that would not be an option for you? Or could you do that? I'll say something along the lines of that. And I just wanted to acknowledge to them that I'm aware that their finances are tight right now, or whatever they've addressed. And I'm okay with that. If they can't do payment in full, let's break it up. What works for you? So when you get to that point, is the whole objective of this part of the call is you want to get them to a place where they can commit to something. So you want to get them to the place where they can say, yes, you know what, I'll hire you, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna pay in full. Fantastic. Or they say, you know what, I definitely can't pay in full, but I want to break that up into payments. Great. What type of payments would work? Could you do it in 2 or 3 payments, or would we need to break it up further than that? And I just want to work with them, and I want to get to that point. And you have to realize, when you get to this point, if there's any resistance, in the form of objections, that's another whole call we can do. But the point is if you're getting any resistance, or, oh, well, you know what, gosh, my things are really tight right now. What happens is, as soon as you have them in this emotional place of, wow, that was awesome. Now you bring in the money. What is money? It's logical. Now all of a sudden you're talking about finances. Now they go into this logical space. And we have to remember, people don't buy logically. And so if they're not just steadily moving forward at this point, and they're starting to throw some objections at you, like, well, I really got to think this over, or, money, like I said, money's kind of tight right now. I definitely can appreciate that. What you want to do is you want to bring them back to that emotion. And if they're balking and they're hesitating right here, You want to really bring them back to that emotion. It's like, let me ask you this. I can appreciate money's tight. Well, how bad do you want this? Or I know you said you were going for X, Y, and Z, and just a minute ago you were just like, on fire and ranting and raving. What's changed? Or tell me what's going on right now. Or just tell me what you're thinking. You just want to get them to talk out loud, because at the end of the day, you want to get down to the fact of like, really, where are they at? When someone invests in coaching, you have to remember, coaching isn't like, okay, my car broke down and I need $1,500 to fix it. It's a very different buy. This is a want. This is above and beyond. It's not like I need to replace my roof. I need to do my car. I need to, go buy the groceries. It's not a need like that. This is a need on a higher level. It's them committing. The act of paying us is not paying us. It's their way of, and essentially, you could just say putting their money where their mouth is, so to speak, and saying, hey, I'm actually committing to moving forward. And that's the biggest fear with people. It's not about the money. It's never about the money. Because when people really want to do something, they will find a way to get the money, as long as it's not ridiculous. And coaching isn't ridiculous. All right? We're not charging ridiculous fees. So we have to remember that and realize that, if they really want this, we've got to bring it back to that emotion and just say, hey, listen, I'm okay, if you say no. You have to give people the out. I always love to give people that out because it takes the pressure off. You can say, listen, my only interest here is to follow through on what you told me you wanted and what we were just, so fired up about, maybe 5 minutes ago. And that is going after X, Y, and Z, or achieving this, or, just repeat, what exactly you were doing with them. And you told me that you were in a place where you were sick and tired of this. So you tell me, where are you at right now? How badly do you want this? And then put it back on yourself. Do you believe that working with me can get you there, or get you closer to that, or that you can achieve X, Y, and Z by us working together? You've got to ask those hard questions, because if they can't say yes to that, that's why they're not buying right now. If they can't see, wow, yeah, God, I absolutely know that if we work together, and I can't guarantee, but I know if we work together, I'm going to be closer. I'm going to get there. I'm going to do this. See, if they're in that spot, they're going to buy. They're going to hire you. But if they're not quite there yet, you need to know that. You need to understand where they're at. And now you need to back away from the closing aspect and trying to get them to hire you at that point, and going back to, it's like, okay, well, let's talk about this. And you spend a little bit more time figuring that out. Because you have to remember, once they hang up the phone, they're gone. That's just a reality. Is if they don't buy now, when they hang up the phone, they're gone. And it's not unequivocally always, meaning every single person, as soon as they hang up the phone, they drop off the face of the earth. They will never hire you. You'll never hear from them again. A very small percentage will, you will hear from them again. You will follow up, and it will work out some of the time. For the sake of conversation, I just want to say, always, just so you get in the mindset of knowing that this is your one and only opportunity to not force this person to hire you. Remember that. This is not about force. This is about finding out where the person is. That's the biggest piece. This is your one and only opportunity to find out where they are. So take hiring you off the table. Say, hey, listen, let's forget about hiring me at this point. I just want to find out where you are. And I just want to find out how you see me helping you based on our conversation. All right, so I wanted to go into a little bit of that so you can start to see how you can play around with this process, because at some point you've got to get down to them. They're either going to move forward or they're not. And that's the main objective of a complimentary session is you want someone to create a decision, yes or no. You don't want any gray area like maybe, or I'll think about it, or let me talk to my dog, let me figure things out, because what's going to happen is they're going to drop off the face of the earth. So at this point, you want to take that time and take the pressure off. Say, listen, I'm fine if you say no. This is not about me, having you to get to hire me. This is about, I just want you to succeed. I just want you to be able to move forward, and bring it back to that. Talk to me out loud. Tell me what you're thinking about. We want to get to a yes or a no. So again, going back to that part is, if you say, hey, listen, the pay in full, does that work for you? Great, move forward. If not, payments, break it up to payments. Does 2 or 3 payments work for you? If yes, move forward. If not, break it down further. I've worked with people, and I've broken it down. Some people, they're paying me $50 every 28 days. Because it's like, you know what? They really want it, and things are tight for them. And I'm like, listen, you know what? I trust you. You trust me. It's a type of relationship that we have. If this is what works for you and it allows you to move forward, then I'm on board. Right? That's it. I just create a space where I trust them that they're good for it, that they're not going to just screw me and run away. That's very rarely ever happened. There's been a handful of people over my 12 years of doing this, 13 years now, where I haven't gotten paid because of that payment structure, and it just just life circumstances, things like that. Very, very few. And the few that it's happened to, it wasn't like on purpose. It was just life got in the way. But I'm willing to take that chance to lower the barrier for someone to work if they really see the value. And this way, I like to take that. What that does is it puts money aside. In other words, if money weren't an issue or finances weren't a challenge for you, would you move forward with right now? Would you hire me right now? And if they're like, oh my God, absolutely, then it's like, let's figure out a way. Let's do this. Because at the end of the day, for you as a coach, if they're making automatic payments, every 28 days or every 2 weeks or whatever it is, it's great for you. Now you create some recurring income, and it's even better. It's just different type of income. That's all it is. So now let me get to the point of what happens here. And this is the objective of the call, is you want to get into this spot where they can say, yes, this works for me. So whether they're paying in full or whether they've broken up into payments, what I want you to be able to have is, when I say how do you take a payment, like how do you actually do it, I want you to have a vehicle where you can process credit cards. So number one, you need to be able to process credit cards wherever you are, and that's most likely in your home office or wherever your office is, and you need to be able to do it online, right? So there's things like PayPal, there's things like Stripe, there's things like Square, Authorize.net, 17 Hats. There's hundreds of payment gateways, they call them, that you can take payments for credit cards. All right, so I'll recommend what I use and what I recommend to my clients. The only thing you want to make sure you have are these 2 things. So number one, you need to have something called a virtual terminal. What a virtual terminal means is, if we're on the phone and I say, great, you can pay in full, that works. What's your billing address? What's your credit card number? What's your expiration date? And is it your name that's on the card? Fantastic. So right then and there, I can pull it up on my computer. Just like I type in authorize.net, for instance. That's what I recommend, and I can send you a link afterwards. But you can go there, and I can log into my account, and I can pull up this virtual terminal. And all I do is I type in the person's name, billing address, credit card number, how much I'm charging them, and that's it. I hit submit, and boom, guess what happens? In a matter of 2-5 seconds, it's processed, it's charged, and the next day the money's in my bank account, and it's done. It's a done deal, right? That's what a virtual terminal is. You need to be able to have that. And the other thing you want to be able to have is, with your payment gateway, is you want to be able to have that feature of recurring payments. And the reason why recurring payments are so vital is just what I just went over, is where not everyone can pay in full. And I mean, they really could if they really, really wanted to, but I like to lower that barrier of entry. And honestly, as a coach, I am a big advocate of recurring income. And what recurring income means is that you have a certain amount of money coming in every month, no matter what, whether you work or not. And so when you get a certain amount of clients who are giving you payments, the advantage to that is that now you can look at your next month, and let's say you've got 10 clients, and let's just say, for example, each one of them is paying you $200 every month, basically, right? So that's $2,000 that you got coming in next month, no matter what. And if each of them, let's just say, has 10 more payments or 5 more payments, for the next 5 months, you've got $2,000 coming in no matter what, right? And that's the value of recurring payments. So it makes it easier for some people to afford what you do because it breaks the payments down for them, or it works within different people's budgets, based on how they get paid and where their money is being allocated, et cetera. And then also for you, it allows you to just spread that money out over a certain amount of time. So it creates some more financial security, because as an entrepreneur, one of the biggest differences from being an employee is there's not necessarily the exact consistency that you get in a paycheck. Meaning if you get paid every 2 weeks and you get paid $5,000 every 2 weeks, then you know what, it's like you just know what you're going to get. But as an entrepreneur, you can have a really big month, you can have a really small month. And it all depends on what you're doing for activity and a lot of different factors. So having those recurring payments is very valuable for us as entrepreneurs, especially as many of us start off into this transition. Our main product, or essentially that the only thing that we're really selling, is our coaching services right away. And so having that recurring payment option is very important. So at that point, what I do is I just basically go in and I enter the person's name. And I just click the recurring payment option, and it basically just says, hey, how much do you want to charge them? Okay, I want to charge them $100. How frequently do you want to charge them? Every 28 days. All right, how many times do you want to do this? Whatever, 5 times, 6 times, 10 times, right? So you click submit, it runs their card, it charges them, let's say, the $100, and then 28 days later, guess what? You don't have to do a thing. It automatically processes their card. You get a notification, they get a notification, the money's in your bank account the next day. All the records are kept online, and that's it. So very, very hands-off. I don't want to be, an accountant. I want to be a coach. And so this is a very easy way to take that payment. Either pay in full, virtual terminal, get it done. And what I'll very often do is when I'm on the line with my client, my new client at that point, I'll just spend a few extra minutes chatting with them. They'll be asking a few questions, things like that, and I'll be online and I'm literally entering their information while they're on the phone with me, and I'll click submit and the card processes and everything's good, and I'll even tell them, hey, listen, I just ran your card, everything went through fine, congratulations, I'm super excited to work with you. As soon as we hang up, I'm going to send you an email confirming this. It has everything written in there so you have it for your records. We've scheduled our time. Boom, done. Now you've got a client, right? Now you've got a client. Or as soon as I hang up the phone, then the first thing I do is I get online, I process their card, and if it doesn't process or it's declined or for whatever reason, assuming I don't have another call right afterwards, I will call them up immediately. Hey, listen, I just ran your card. It was declined. I'm not sure what's going on. Do you have a different card? And I'm right there, taking care of things, because I want to make sure that I don't lose this person. And so I really want to stress the aspect of having that. Now, some people, starting off, they'll do, like, for instance, I'll just use PayPal as an example, right? PayPal, you can use something that's free, right? And you can send someone a link, or you could send them to a web page that has a PayPal button, right? And then they can click on that, and then they can enter all their information, and then they can make their payment, right? And if they're doing it paying full, they could do that. If it's a recurring payment, you could say, well, why couldn't I just send them a link every month or every whatever, right? So you could do that. Is that wrong? No, it's not wrong. It's a very viable way. It's a free option. You're still going to get charged, I think, like a 30 cents per transaction and roughly 3% of it. But it's still a viable way of doing it. I highly don't recommend that. I strongly don't recommend sending them to a web page, sending them a link. And the reason why is because, like I said earlier, as soon as they leave, like, you send them the link, well, they might not do it right away, right? So then a couple days goes by and they talk to somebody else, or something else comes up, or they get off the phone, their kids come home and they all need all this hockey gear, or there's this big class trip that they need to go on that's $1,000. And all of a sudden it's like their money that they were going to be investing in themselves on coaching is now going towards their car that just broke down, or their water heater that just broke, or you name it, or something just like their new purse or clothes that they wanted to buy. You know what I mean? And all of a sudden it's just like they never click the link, they never follow through, and you know what, I've changed my mind, or things came up, or you know what, and they just send you, if they even contact you, some just lame objection, right? And so that's the biggest thing is when it comes to buying, we talked about emotional buying, but people buy when they have a need, and they buy when the timing is right. And we have to remember, everyone has a need. Everyone has a need for something. Everyone needs wants more of something in their life: better health, better finances, more money, stronger relationships, you name it, right? But when people act on it when the timing's right, right? So when the timing is right, the timing is now. It's right now. If it's not right now, they're not going to do it. And they might not be able to pinpoint it or say why, or you might not ever really be able to figure it out. It's just going to be a timing thing, right? So when the timing's right and they're ready to go, it's right now. On top of that, it's like, hey, we just finished the session. You're on an emotional high. Let's do this thing. And you can't force someone to do something that they don't want to do. That's not the objective, right? So they're in that space. It's like, let's do this. Here's how we do it. What's your information? You want to have that. You want to have the ability to run their card. You can't rely on someone. That's my biggest message, is you can't rely on someone to follow through and click the link. And so some people will say, like, well, yeah, you know what? If I have to have, some of those payment gateways, I have to pay a monthly subscription for that. So for instance, with PayPal, I think it's $30 a month to get PayPal Pro. And that's going to give you, the recurring payment option. It's going to give you the virtual terminal. And so it's like, well, why would I pay the $30 when I can just send them to, my webpage that has a Pay Now button on it, or send them a link that they can just click on? And I'll tell you why. Because that $30 a month, the money or the revenue, if you will, in your business that you're losing because of people changing their minds or not buying right then and there, far exceeds, one client will exceed, many years worth of that $30 recurring payments, right? And a lot of people are like, oh, I don't even want to do that because they take 3% and it's 30 cents per transaction. They can just mail me a check or things like that. Never take a check, because the check's never in the mail, right? The check never gets there. What that means is people don't send the check. Can it happen? Yes. Will it happen? Yes, people can do that. But I'm saying don't rely on that, because your percentage of people that are going to actually commit and follow through is going to be significantly reduced. Significantly reduced. I'm not going to give you a number because I don't have that number. Just know that it's very reduced. And so we're going to optimize our work and what we're doing. And that's why I really strongly urge you. And this isn't just because, what I think. It's like, this is what I've been doing and what I've seen, not only here, like in my coaching business since 2004, but since 97, I was a personal trainer. And I was basically doing the same thing, right? I was selling training packages to clients, and I witnessed the same things. And early in my coaching career, before I started learning this stuff, this is what I realized. I'm like, why is this happening? And I'm spending all this time on people, and then they're going away, and it's like I'm either never hearing from them again, or they're not committing, or they're not following through. And when I started to create these changes that I've just expressed to you, dramatic difference in my business, in the ability to get the clients, keep the clients, and then also in income-wise as well. And additionally, another reason why you want to take their information, their credit or debit card information, and be able to process it, this is another really, really big point I want to address, is you want to be able to have their credit card on file, because you want to make it super easy for them to rehire you when that time comes. So as I always like to set up the mentality of like, hey, I always recommend a package of 9 sessions. Usually takes us about 3 months to go through. And that's a great amount of time to really get some great results. And I actually went over that on a call in very much detail, call number 11 in my Selling Coaching University, coaching payment structure and sessions, if you want to listen to that. But I set up the mentality of actually, not just working with you for the 9 sessions, but hey, when that comes up, it's like, we're not going to stop unless you want to stop. But to me, if there's value there and we're really kicking butt, then why wouldn't we be moving forward? So we can reevaluate at that time. So when that time comes, when I have their credit card information on file, all the conversation is basically, hey, you know what, next time is the 9th session, and obviously we're doing some great things. What do you see the future of us doing? What do you see us continuing on after this? And oh my God, absolutely, and whatever. When they get to that spot where they want to work with you, all you got to do is, hey, great, last time you paid in full, do you want to use that same option again and use the same card? And this is literally, it's an email or at the end of a phone call, at the end of your coaching session. And they're like, yep, absolutely. Great. You want me to process that on the day of our next call? That's fine. Thanks so much. Boom, you're done. You write it in your book, process card, $1,800 or whatever it is on that day, and it's done. You don't have to ask them to get their card out again, anything like that. Or if what I've done with a lot of people is if they're making payments, and I say, hey, listen, we want to continue on. Is that something you still want to do? You still want to keep working with me? Great. Listen, you're on automatic payments for, let's just say, $150 a month or $150 every 28 days. Do you want to just continue on with that payment structure? Does that work for you? And a lot, they're like, yep, that works great. Awesome. So listen, here's how I'll do it. I'll just keep track of our sessions. We'll just continue on, and we'll just keep that payment structure going, and we don't have to think about it. Perfect. So what that does is now you just coach with them. You don't have to, you take the buying out of it, right? They don't have to think about it. I can't tell you how many clients we start off with 9 sessions, and 20, 30, 40, 50 sessions later, years later, and they're just making automatic payments, and they don't have to think about anything. They don't have to click a link every month. They don't. It's just it's such a pain in the butt. And think about it now. Think about the trend. Not even the trend. It's where we are. It's like, how easy is it to buy stuff, right? You go buy gas. You get a mobile card. You flash it in front of a screen, and it charges your card. You want to buy a song. You go on Apple, and you just click buy, and then you type in a little password, or you don't even have to type in a little password, and it charges your account. You want a movie on Saturday night, and you go on demand, and it's $30 or whatever it is, and you just click buy, and it shows up on your next bill. You don't have to be like, I want to buy this movie. Okay, great. Let me send you a link. Go check your email. Go get to your purse and get your wallet out. It's not going to happen by then. You know what? They're not going to buy the movie because something else happened, or they changed their plans, or they changed their mind. It's exactly what we're talking about here. We want to make it very easy for people to buy. And that's another reason why, not just with the initial decision of taking that payment, but in future payments, is the value of the long-term value of a client. That's what we're going for here, because it's not just, I want to make more money off of a client. It's like, hey, the longer I can work with you, the more I can help you, right? If I only get to work with you for 9 sessions, we can do a lot of work together. But if I get to work to you for 18 or 36 or 50, I've had dozens of clients over my last 12 years that have capped 80 to over 100 sessions with me over many years. And the things I've been able to do with them and the relationship we've been able to create are phenomenal. And the structure that I'm presenting here is a way to be able to create that and make it easy for them. And people don't buy. If something's too complicated, even something that they want, if it's too much hassle for them, they are not going to buy. And especially because of the way the world is today, where people, you go on Amazon, right? And it's just like, you just click a button, and it, like one click, and it's like shipped to you 2 days later. It's like, how easy is that? Like everything's on file. So all I'm saying is like, that's exactly what we're looking to do, is we're trying to take the decision making out of this process and make it easy for them, because once we get them to this point of buying for the first time, then we're on with them, and we really help them, and that's the value of doing this.